Okay, good afternoon to all the members of joining today. Good afternoon to the panelist speakers, Mr. Kaneshwaran Govindasamy and Ir Mohd Nashriq Zulkefle. Please welcome for today's talk. The title of the talk today will be Integrating Vision and Skills for the Fresh Graduate Engineer to Succeed in the Industry, and organized by the IEM Student Chapter of UOWM KDU. Okay. I would also welcome all the participants and viewers who are already registered for this talk. Welcome. So, to further ado of the talk, I will introduce I will let the speakers, the panel, to introduce themselves. I'll begin with Mr. Kaneshwaran. Probably you can start first, and then followed by IR Nashriq thereafter. Mr. Kaneshwaran, please.
Thank you, Ir Permesh. Thank you so much for having me on this occasion.
Yes.
So, thank you so much. Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. Just a quick overview of my background. I have 23 years of active in telecommunications and ICT field, starting from the day the GSM was built. And I was very much involved in the telecommunications, started with transmission and transport networks, followed by radio, access networks, and core networks. And I worked for more than 12 years with Ericsson, from the RAN up to the LTE. I have about 3 years of experience in R&D for 28 gigahertz wireless unit in University Technology Malaysia. And as you can see, these are my qualifications. And these are the list of talks that I have done overall in Malaysia, Singapore as well. I was a guest presenter to Astro Light FM and BFM 89.9. And I'm the founder of Exchanging Ideas Global 5G Evolution. It's a 5G virtual meeting conference. And I'm also the content creator, and I own and manage the YouTube channel Global 5G Evolution. So what is this all about of the channel that I'm doing this? This channel is very much involved to education sharing to worldwide university students, particularly those involved in 5G, artificial intelligence, machine learning, IoT, big data, analytics, so on and so forth. And basically, this particular YouTube channel it's free for everyone. You can click subscribe button for free and access hundreds of presentations that was delivered by the international university professors, vendors like Huawei, Nokia, Ericsson, small player vendors, AI experts, machine learning experts, cloud computing experts, digitalization experts worldwide. So all this information will be very helpful for your soft skill development, and this will very much help to enhance your competence, particularly students. And here are the list of example of the experts from worldwide. We have various combination of a startup accelerator, innovator, organizations, innovation labs, professors, engineers, so on and so forth. As you can see, like for example, South Korea Telecom presented on our program, because South Korea Telecom are the leading in terms of the 5G telecom as a mobile network operator, with about they have reached more than 10 million subscribers in 5G and nationwide coverage. And these are combination of University of Surrey, Murdoch University as well, the Scotland 5G Centre. They are the far ahead lead in terms of the 5G innovations, and they have given a lot of knowledge sharing as well. We have the artificial intelligence, augmented reality, virtual reality experts, cloud computing experts as well, who have actually presented. One of the most promising person from Australia, Professor Dr. David Soldani, who is very competent in Australia when it comes to in 5G and 6G as well. And we have Verizon involved. We also had a group of students from University of Berkeley who are far ahead in terms of the 5G Innovation Lab, who has presented drone for us as well. And this is the TCO analysis. What is the importance of private 5G versus the Wi-Fi 6? I had my view on the 5G private network, and Alex Paxson from Washington, D.C., USA, was presenting on the Wi-Fi 6 and the total cost ownership analysis as well. So these things are available. We have Professor Ranjan Singh from Singapore, NTU, who gave some opening keynote on various of 5G use cases. And these use cases would be helpful for you guys to see what are the innovations that's happening around the world as well. University of Oulu from Finland also are far ahead in terms of the 5G innovations as well. And also this guy, Christian Marstam from University of Aachen, Germany, when in terms of focus of the manufacturing industry and 5G as well. So this is the latest. Yesterday we had a talk in terms of the COVID-19. What are the pressing ground issues in medical centers and the doctors? And as you know, India, one of the highest rate of deaths, which recorded 6,100 deaths per day, right? With more than 100,000 cases. So we took the information, what are the ground issues, and we asked the engineers how we can able to address with the technology, robotics, digital AI, cloud, IoT, and 5G that can able to prevent or try to solve the patient's issues, for example. So yeah, please, do subscribe the YouTube channel for the students. It will be very helpful to you. Just give me 30 seconds. If you have time, please use your QR scan code to scan this. Anyone who does the subscribe this channel, you are given a free gift. I will give you a surprise free gift end of the session. It'll be very helpful, this free gift. So please do subscribe this YouTube channel by scanning this QR code.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Kanesh. It's a very profound profile. Next, I would invite Ir Nashriq to share his profile as well. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Ir Permesh. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for having me today. It's quite a great platform, especially for the student to really understand what's going on in our industry right now. So let me introduce myself first. Wait. Okay. Okay, I'm Mohd Nashriq Zulkefle. I was born in 1987 from Johor. And I'm married with 4 kids now, all 7, 5, 3, and 1 year old. I've been working with MIC since 2010. So this slide is actually the slide I prepared during my professional review interview for my chartered engineer qualification by the UK Engineering Council. So this is my last updated was 2018. So now 2021. So many things I need to share with you guys. But let me start with the beginning of my career here. I share my full screen. Okay. So in 2010, what happened in 2010? I begin with an offer to pursue my training with a South Korean shipyard, Daewoo Shipbuilding and Marine Engineering shipyard in Okpo, South Korea, where I pursue my my corrosion engineering with all those Korean engineers. So this is happening quite a short period of time, where 6 months is the allocation given by the management to get as much as possible all the skills and experiences from the Korean engineers. And then, I started as a corrosion engineer. Then I went back to my company and I have another role as hull and outfitting engineer. My background was mechanical engineering graduates, but I joined as a corrosion engineer first. Then I changed shift to hull and outfitting engineer. All this happening in our industry where at any time, at any point of time, is if required by the management, we have to have an open mind and take that as an opportunity for you to expand your experience. Okay, so this is my photos taken in also in the SME shipyard where I deliver one of the crude oil tanker for our company. Where in this photo I have to measure the hull dimension. I'm checking the substrate of the steel surface before we apply our first layer of coating for the ships. And I have to, attending all the inspection for the hull machineries like mooring winch, windlasses, and also those related to the propeller, and all you can see from outside of the ships. Then after I returned from Korea, I had another role. Previously as a hull and outfitting engineer, now I becoming the mechanical and marine engineer. So shifting from structural based engineering position to machinery, equipment, and marine system is like a upside down career, because they are totally different. Not really totally different, but as a mechanical engineering graduate, this is also covered in your syllabus, where you will be dealing with the heat, thermodynamics, the heat transfer, the all the dynamic and static costs. So all will be again, the syllabus from the university will be again revised when I already at 5 years of experience. So this ship is quite unique where we are having our machinery steam plant. So I would like to share that steam system is a very difficult system where the whole plant requires an extensive knowledge of thermodynamics. Where thermodynamics is one of my worst subject during my study in University Technology Petronas. So I really hate this subject. But as as a matter of fact, that's the thing that you actually have to deal with when you are being given the commitment to perform a job. Then you have to perform. So I'm taking that as a challenge for me, and now I manage to do it well, and now I already expand my experience as a mechanical, and also before this as hull outfitting, and also as a corrosion engineer. Then after around 6 years or 7 years as a project management engineer, I would say I joined our company's maintenance and operation to provide a technical service and giving some talk to our ship seafarer on industry 4.0, and also some technical, advisory for our operation team. So this is where you will be shifting again your career from becoming a project engineer base, where you will love working at site. Now you will be uh, having yourself in office more than what you normally do at site. So the character will be changed from a dirty boiler suit now to a very clean corporate, suit. So all these are matters. So the reason why I'm sharing this, I hope that we have a very clear mindset that being an engineer is not only being at site, but you can be anywhere in the world as long as you can perform and give commitment to the company. And I think that's all. 2018 is my latest experience from Eagle Star before I joined again to the parent company, and now I'm leading 3 projects as a lead material engineer. See again, from corrosion engineer, and then hull outfitting engineer, mechanical and marine machinery engineer, now return back to a material corrosion engineer. So make sure before you embark to the world, to the industry, make sure you have all this mindset firm, and so that you can ready to embrace challenge in industry. Thank you. Thank you. I pass back to our moderator, IR Permesh.
Okay, thank you, Nashriq. So we proceed with the next event. Is on the talk. Thank you so much, both panelists. Actually, you all have shared a very profound profile where it all begins with a job. And from there, you all have embarked into a good career, okay, with a diversified. I would say a career is all about accepting new skills, challenges, new knowledge. And as an engineer who is looking for growth and contribution to the society, which involve creativity, critical thinking, and as I have mentioned, that is you must have an open mind, positive attitude and open mind, and so on. In this current situation, in the Industrial Revolution 4.0, students are basically very anxious, looking on directions on what's awaiting for them after their graduation. What are the graduate attributes which the industries are expecting from them? To this, our organizers has already prepared a set of questions. Okay, I'll begin with the first question. How important, okay, how important does adapting to new working environment or developing new skill sets required by the job? I'll begin with Mr. Kanesh, and then I'll invite Mr. Nashriq to share his views as well. Mr. Kanesh.
Thank you, Ir Permesh. I think it's a very relevant question. How important does adapting to new working environment or new skill set required by the job scope? I think it's very much to the adaptability skills, those qualities that allow you to adjust to changes in your environment. I mean, being adaptable at work can, hello?
Yeah, proceed.
Yeah. So you can respond quickly to changing ideas, responsibilities, expectations, trends, strategies, and other processes. So being adaptable means, it's like possessing a soft skill like interpersonal communications, creative thinking, problem solving skills, and these are the most important critical skills that it's required by students when they go to the new environment. See, adaptability skills can include a variety of skill set, and they can essentially help you adapt to deal with change of positive and a proactive, and a proactive environment is very important if you have such soft skills. For example, like communication skills means you're being adapt can depend on how effective you communicate with your teammates and your managers, right? So being able to ask for clarification during the transitions or seeking out additional information or resources for a new and unfamiliar project, and that makes you to be more motivated. Number 2 is the interpersonal skills, like effectively communicating with others, having excellent interpersonal skills. That plays a very much a healthy role. Problem solving skills, adapting to change can also rely on problem solving skill. You might use your problem solving skill to find creative solutions to challenging topics and being able to observe, right? So and teamwork skills, there it can be essential, being able to adapt to different personalities and working dynamics. Your colleagues can be a combination of different skills, backgrounds, and experience. So being able to work on a diverse team, that also will help in terms of addressing conflict, differing ideas, how we can work together. And lastly is the organization skills, that include different aspects that, for
Project
example,
management.
maintain an organized work area, including the, how you do a digital filing, your paperwork, so on and so forth. So I think that's my point of view.
So it means that definitely students have to have an open mind to accept new things, right? And new skills. They must have a bit of motivated profession. I mean, a motivation, a drive in them to see things in a positive way, to embark a new journey. I am actually. Can you add in on this question?
Yes, yes. As mentioned by Mr. Kanesh, right? We have to, as an engineer especially, we have to pay attention to details. This is very important where we are dealing with a new. It's always a new issue coming in, for us to solve the problem. So if we
Okay.
mislook any angle of the situation or issue or problem, so we might end up with several, a solution, which never end up with a fixed conclusion. And another thing is that not only paying attention to details, but having a good analytical thinking is very important as an engineer, because we have all those details. We have read and understand all those details, but how are we going to match them and organize all the information into something that we can have a conclusion and on what we are going to do and proposed to the management. This is very important. That's why we have all those industry 4.0 driver, like or key technologies like data analytics in place. I think Mr. Ganesh can talk more
Yeah.
about the industry 4.0, the
Yeah,
data
yeah.
analytics. But we also in marine, in offshore oil and gas, are also going towards the data analytics, where we deal with a lot of information from operation, and from there we can decide and suggest what is the best practices for our specific operation. Because technically, I think we have to agree with this. Technically, everyone can have the knowledge by attending courses, going to university,
Yeah, yeah, true.
make reference to some standards or requirement. But having an analytical thinking is something you have to cultivate by yourself. You have to always have in mind that whatever you did now, as you have to have some eagerness to really understand what is the risk beyond what you already know. And then after you are after you are really satisfied to yourself, then you can satisfy others by proposing what you think is the solution for that particular problem.
Okay.
Being an engineer is that important. Other than
Yes.
that, as what Mr. Kani said, project management skill. Without having a good communicational skills, whatever you said about technical things to the non-technical people like our management will be
Yes.
like a waste of time.
It's a big
We like
challenge.
waste of time. Yeah, it's a very big challenge. This is another skills that you have to learn. In fact, as an engineer like me, our HR had a program called technical. Okay, apa saya? Technical presentation course for engineers. So where they have all set of elements required to make complicated presentation into
Okay.
a very presentable presentation to the non-technical or technical people. So uh, so this course you can have free from YouTube, or you can attend a professional one with some fees. But I believe if we know that all these skills are important, then I think even the lecturers can or the organizer can have another session specific to tackle this specific
Yeah.
skill set. Yep.
Basically, what both of you have mentioned, basically, of course, project management, and I believe there's a lot of things to be learned on YouTube. There are many free courses as well as paid courses which have been taught or being shared in YouTube. This actually from the discussion of problems in engineering. This comes to my second question. Of course, being in the engineering field, problem solving is one of the key criteria why as engineer we are employed in the first place. But this issue always plagues the new graduates, in terms of how to solve the issues, how to tackle it. So the question here is how do we approach in this attending this problem? Because this is something not cultivated much. I would say it is a preliminary in the education background. But the problem in the engineering world can be a diversified, or it can be something which new to the graduate student. So how do we tackle this situation, Mr. Kanesh?
Thank you, Ir Permesh. I think I would like to support to Ir Mohd Nashriq when he mentioned the first wording was paying attention to details. I think that is the very much critical area that how we want to approach solving of any challenges and issues, right? So those challenges, if we pay a full attention, we ask ourselves why, what, how, when, all these four main critical areas. And when we question ourselves, we will get the answer by approaching to the right group of people that we are working together. For every challenge, it cannot be an individual kind of a challenge. It has to be a challenge that a team will work together and try to see how we can able to solve it together. And I believe that when addressing those kind of challenges, each personnel has to have this kind of upskill and reskill themselves itself, right? So in any organizations, there will be a set of training tools, either it can be a virtual training tools or on-hand experience training tools. And there must be a continuous learning as well, because the learning is very important in terms of the knowledge that is acquired within the organization or outside of the organization, what's going on in the world, So all these learning skills are very important. And by using these learning skills, definitely you could be able to solve such of engineering challenges. That's my point of view.
Okay, basically, yes. About Nashri, you want to add anything?
Yes. Thanks. Okay. Solving engineering issue for a fresh graduate, right?
Yes.
I cannot agree more with Mr. Kanesh, where being to solve things we cannot work in silo. We have to work together with our team.
Yes.
Yeah, this is a very good trait. And most of the fresh graduate, they think perhaps they are too humble and too shy to express their ideas. So they always keep in their mind what is going to happen, what is the issue, what is the real challenges they are facing, but never tell what in their mind to the other to other senior engineer, for example.
So in conclusion, I mean to say that it's very imperative that fresh graduate, when they join the workforce, it's important for them to establish a networking within their own department, knowing, being friendly with the senior engineers, not afraid to ask, not keeping yourself in a silo. Okay, and of course, when you come to challenges in problem solving, the first thing is that we need to seek information if we do not know something, right? And then we need to not afraid to ask the second thing. And imperative, that a very important thing, that teamwork is very important. That everybody share, because it's an engineering work, so we do have to be a diversity background of different engineers, but everybody face the same thing. There is problems in engineering.
Yes, yes, I would like to add more.
Yeah.
You see, my experience, I shift from various engineering discipline, right?
Mhm.
So it looks like after 3 years of experience, then I have to again restart from zero. I have to empty my cup again.
Mhm.
So how I'm managing these kind of challenges is always first, of course, you have to work hard, and you have
Yes.
to do your own study again, asking your colleagues in asking whether they are still having the lecture notes back in university times. But at the end of the day, communication is the main aspect uh, of the skills that the engineers must have. So if you don't understand, you have to ask. But I always hold to what we call this one, to the fact that we can only be stupid once, but then we can be a better person after that if we
Okay.
ask. If we
Yes.
ask, if we don't ask, we will keep the world within ourselves only.
So
So
we
make sure,
actually
yeah,
it can lead us more problems.
yeah, it will create more problem, not only to that particular engineer, but also to the whole team. That's why
Yes.
communication is very, very important. We don't care if you have you have all the technical competency, everything, but if you don't have a good communication skills, you tend to keep
Mhm.
very important issue or challenges in your own cubicles. But this will not work as when you work in industry, especially for engineers. Engineers is someone who must work together with other discipline engineer, not only to the discipline engineer but also to the non-technical people like our procurement team, our buyer, our operation team,
Mhm.
and in fact sometimes we have to propose our idea to our non-technical management,
Yes.
the HR, the
Mhm.
even to the HR people,
Yeah, true.
yeah, that's very important.
But okay, I'll go to the third question. This is actually one thing that we learned from the earlier discussion that communication skills is not only begin in the industry, but is begin from the our education itself. So, what do you think is the current engineering skills that fresh graduate uh, required to be improved, could be improved? Apart from communication skills, because I believe the participants have noted that communication skills, we have keep repeating them, interpersonal skills. Apart from these two, any other thing that they require in the midst to step into the industry? Iron Nation, maybe you can share.
Okay, I think uh, technically most already covered during our university times,
Yes, yes.
but the only thing that we have to have in mind is that regardless how complex is the situation or the
Mhm.
problem, you must go to the basic engineering knowledge.
The
Basic.
fundamentals.
Because we are inferior with the situation until we forgot about the basic things.
Oh,
in, in, but I learned this a lot with my senior engineer, my lead engineer before, because I am too inferior, because I just changed to another discipline, and the topic that I have to tackle is something that I don't like during my university time. Heat transfer,
oh,
thermodynamic, fluid dynamic, something that I
oh,
don't score at during my university times. But I have to deal with it.
yes.
So first, of course, work hard, and then again check all those basic mechanical. For me, I'm a mechanical engineering graduate. I understand the mechanical engineering basic or theoretical knowledge. I think in terms of skills is very much technical skills is very much depending on the industry you join.
Yeah,
Some
yeah.
if you role as a designer, then you have to really polish your skill in AutoCAD, for example. If you are a project engineer like me, actually not much on the software part, but it
Mhm.
is more like managing engineering on how to tackle engineering problem with a proper uh,
Mhm.
what we call it methodology from
Okay.
from understanding the problem and then finding information and analyze the information, then come up with the solution. I think that's a very basic idea of how to solve things. But
Okay.
technically, I think technically it's very much depending on the industry we join and the position we are in.
So, Mr. Kanesh, would you like to add it?
Thank you, Permesh. From my point of view, it's like, yes, sharpening engineering skills are very important. But I would like to stress one thing here is that students should always think outside of the box. For example, a student who is doing a mechanical engineering course, or a student who is doing electronics and electrical engineering, for example, they should not be limited themselves within the they call it the coconut shell, right? The coconut shell of respective mechanical, for example. Yeah, because you see, technology is so huge, right? The speed of things are going on in the world is very high, so they got to embrace some soft engineering skills as well outside of their comfort zone. That is very critical here, right? Because you have to be restless every day, push yourself to be a better person than yesterday. And that is so important here to sharpen the skills. For example, I'm giving you, like, you see, I'm a telecommunications, I have experience of 23 years. I have moved out by going into and taking an MBA, for example. Number two, I still do a learning. I go for attending course for artificial intelligence. That is nothing to do with the telecommunications, but still there is some sort of link in terms of the ecosystem with the 5G, for example. So I still take out I will do the artificial learning. Even today, I'm already age 47. I'm still attending courses, right? So artificial intelligence, IoT is relevant to electronics, electrical. IoT is also relevant to the mechanical departments because it relates to sensors in the machineries and so on and so forth. So data analytics, big data. So keep learning, keep embracing of these soft engineering skills. Learn. There's a lot of free courses also available outside there. And once you going through this particular courses, and you will definitely will learn very much yourself, and you can able to be much more confident in those engineering, and you can even talk and share with your colleagues and your friends, and they will definitely get hype, and that's how the whole continuous of learning process is.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ganesh. We will pause the session for a while, okay, because I think we have a video coming in. Mr. Dalmo, can you proceed with the video? So after the video, then we'll continue our discussion. Okay, thank you very much, Dalmo, the videos. In our earlier discussion, one thing we can conclude is that, like Nashriq mentioned, that it's very important to uphold our engineering fundamentals. Okay, whatever fundamental we have to learn and so on. No matter what is our advanced, whatever is advanced from the engineering, the advanced part is keep changing based on the emerging trends of technology. But the fundamentals is always remain the same. Whether you are specialized in many new skills and so on, you're specialized engineer in different designation. But the fundamentals is very important. And as Mr. Kanesh concluded, we have to keep learning many things, even though there is a diversification of this. But if I recall, even Steve Jobs used to mention, it's all about connecting the dots. Okay, whatever we learn, we all will come back to one conclusion that whatever we learn, okay, is actually relevant and important in our career. So, bringing this to our next question. Okay, this is the second one. What do you view as the most important engineering issues facing our industries today? It could be a general opinion, Mr. Kanesh. Maybe you can share with us.
Thank you, Ir Permesh. This is a very challenging question. Yeah, even it took
Maybe
me some
from
time
5G's
to
perspective.
think about it. Yeah, I'm recording my time. Straight to the core analysis is very simple. One of the biggest engineering is to see what is the world environment or global main issues. From a global issue, either it's a pandemic or earthquake or whatever that environmental or whatever that makes a big impact, and we see from that would be all, related to an engineering issue. And in this case, if we see COVID-19, I would like to choose COVID-19 because COVID-19 has given a huge impact, problems to everyone in this world, including the patients, the employees, to the management, to the organizations, even to the universities, colleges as well. So from that perspective, how we can try to use the engineering and relate and see how we can able to solve, for example, how we can cut down the number of deaths in the medical hospitals, how we can able to actually improvise the patient's conditions, how we can actually cut down the number of visits of the patients to the hospitals. I think that's where the technology plays a big role. The engineering skills plays a big role in terms of developing, for example, apps or softwares that can able to improvise those conditions. Number two is that I had a talk yesterday, and I was listening to the medical doctors from India, based in New Delhi, South Delhi, and Hyderabad. And 6,152 deaths in a day. It's really crazy, right? And that's because of the huge population, and some of them were saying that the doctors, they do not know how to actually use the ventilators, for example. There was no proper guidance, for example, the ventilations and all that. There was issues in terms of there was no proper infrastructure, right? So how can we have an engineering that we can do a quick solve in terms of a proper deployment of oxygens to the right medical centers, hospitals, and everything, right? Today it's India, tomorrow it can happen to any part of the world, right? So I think from the engineering point of view, whether it's students or anyone, startups, companies, organization, government as well, have to actually be in alert to make sure that if they need to work with the engineering departments, or the engineer or with the engineers, to see how we can able to address those kind of issues. That's my point of view.
Basically, of course, many industries, whether it's in the shipping or whether it's in the industries, factories, manufacturing, or hospital logistics. But one thing we know that sometimes due to pandemic area, to embrace sudden change, okay, it wasn't easy because most of our systems, our existing infrastructure is remain the basic, and this gave a sudden surge. But I believe that this is actually an opportunity for engineers to bring out engineering solutions. What do you think, Ir Nashriq?
Yes. Always. We engineering issue is always dealing with change due to the direction globally, you know.
Mhm.
And then, for
Okay.
example, we know Industry 4.0, I think 10 years ago, even the
Yeah.
European country are quite advanced in Industry 4.0, where we are now still catching up with the technology development in our country.
Okay.
Okay. And then knowing that even I think technology wise, we can develop very fast. But to adapt to the new technology is another matters that engineers should consider. Because
So, uh,
yeah, making
correct,
making
correct.
making new and advanced
Mhm.
technology, even the shipyard in the world are having a remote operated ship and tankers. But is but in terms of human to adapt to the technology are still not there. We have our aeroplane, fully autonomous aeroplane, but we still have pilot. Why? This is something that engineers not only looking into the technical part of the issue, but also to the social
Yeah,
economic
psychology.
and politics, and also the psychology. What we
Yeah.
call as a human engineering.
Yes, yes.
Human engineering. So we may have option one, option two, option three, but at the end, the best option is the one who is most efficient to the human or to the operator, to the end user. That's
Yes.
the critical one. And I always because and rather the rules enforced by global is rather a passive than active one. Means something happened, then we have to develop this. Something happened, then we are mandatory to follow this rule, emission rule, and all the safety rules. And then because of the pandemic, we have to follow certain set of rules. And then that's why Industry 4.0 is quite a disruptive technology. Yeah?
Mhm.
And to adapt to that, we require not beyond engineering issue. So this where engineers, the non-technical management, politician have to sit together and understand what is the best for our current
Approach.
situation at the moment. Because I
Okay.
think that engineers are quite advanced in terms of technology development, but to make things happen, it also require adaptability by the end user. That's the main issue, especially during this pandemic.
Mhm.
Yeah, because
But
we are limited to our financial constraint and also to the logistic issue.
but looking at it, in our current situation and the years coming, we are basically in the cyber world. Okay,
Yeah.
where software plays a dominant role. I think in every transportation, every like smart manufacturing, the advancement of the IoT and so on. But looking at it, that if the industry, if the industry usually depends on the engineer. If the engineer adapt to a technology or able to learn to provide solution. They must see not from the perspective of problem is a problem, don't do anything about it. But of course, we have to look at the solution. And the solution again, as you mentioned, that requires we know the technology, but we have to come and sit and solve to in a way that is acceptable by the society at large, psychologically mainly. Okay, that everybody are comfortable to embrace the technology. I believe the engineers plays a vital role in embracing, getting the public, like a driverless plane or driverless car, to accept the new norm in the coming era. So, okay, the fifth question is the same one. How do you deal with relatively mundane or routine tasks required by engineering, like reports and paperwork? What's your opinion? An engineer is doing all this report and paperwork. I believe most graduate engineers they're actually very uh, uh, anticipate enhanced activity, enhanced rate of movement, a dynamic system. But I'm not sure are they ready for the paperwork reporting, paperwork filing, documentations. What's your opinion on this, Mr. Kanesh?
Um, I think Ir Nashriq would be the best person to answer this. But from my 2 cents of thoughts, I would say that the trend has been changing year after year. A lot of digitalization is taking place in the organizations, in the even the employee who works remotely. For example, those who are at the site, who's handling a project and everything, right? So some of the engineers or most of the engineers are in, for example, depends on the project demand and the timeline and the time plan where they need, like say, within a certain stipulated number of days that they should complete the task, and they might not have the right relevant time to do writing or paperwork using a laptop because of the conditions, or maybe they only have the mobile phones. And so like project management team, with the Microsoft like 365 Dynamics or any other application tools, they most of the engineers, they can do the reporting quick and very fast in their mobile phones, updating where they are, what they have done, the task schedules, and so it's very much on a digitalization reporting within a group of employees in that sense. So I would say that these are the key areas that I would suggest.
Nashriq, we understand that in those times, paperwork is generally is a lot, documentations, filing, and so on. And coming to digitalizations, what do you think? How does the industries, are they able to adapt with this? Because now students are basically graduate students usually they're more on working more on their smartphones rather than their laptop at times. What's your opinion?
I have to agree with Mr. Kanesh. I think nowadays digitalization are taking place, and our work becoming much easier, 2 times, 3 times easier than before. I can do my work and reporting while waiting for my wife's appointment at hospital, at car park. Yeah, just using my smartphone. This is the beauty of the technology. If you if you don't make friend to the technology, then the technology will make enemy to you.
So we need to embrace the new method of
Yes.
mobility.
Yes.
Yeah.
But because now, I think in terms of reporting, I think most of the company now are going towards electronic or digital reporting. Even for drawing approval. Last time we have approval all in a hard copy drawing. The big A0, A1 drawing having a stamp by the engineers. Imagine one engineer taking leave. How they are going to approve or review the drawing. That's very difficult, and it's just a matter of time before we have to proceed to another stage of the, let's say, the project management. And this, last time maybe construction or engineering process may require 1 year to complete, but now it's reduced to 3 months or 6 months because of the technology. So you see how advanced. That's why I think in terms of workload, it is much covered by the technology now. Now it is, but however, the technology is handled by human, and we have to be creative to utilize all this technology. If not, we will be lag behind other colleagues. It is true because I think we have so many layers of experienced people in our office. When it comes to technology, implementing new technology in our workplace, the baby boomers, group of staff are having difficulties to catch up with the system. And we, Z generation, Y generation, have to help them and to make sure all things are going well. and at the end of the day, it contribute and give benefit to the company.
Mhm.
So that's my take.
One thing we can understand that now engineers are quite having their job scope. It requires them to be in mobility. At times, even though the documentation filing is digital or
Yes.
there is urgent reportings or urgent retrieval of data and so on. Okay, it can be anywhere. You can be in a hospital or you can be in a park, this and that. But
Yes.
this is actually a very comfortable trend for the now generations that they rather have this approach compared to our previous generation. If I want to do a document, I want to take out a document, I have to go to the office. So uh, there's a time consuming, and I think the productivity now is very much faster with the digitalization, right?
Yes. I would like to add more. When digitalization take place, the production become double. So at the end of the day, the workload is still same. This era and the older era is still same because of the production increase because of the digitalization. Last time production is not that much as today, but because of the technology, they don't have the privilege over the technology. Then they have to go to the old school kind of process. Then the workload still same.
So it all boils down to
Yeah.
the engineers
Yeah.
how to manage.
Yeah, so that's why the next point I would like to share is how to prioritize things. I would suggest the 4 quadrant prioritization where we have urgent and not urgent, critical and non-critical task to do. So I'm not sure whether you are familiar with this 4 quadrant or not, but normally the priority will be prioritized like very important and critical as a priority number 1.
Okay.
Very important, non-critical, number 2. So that's how I manage my my task daily. And sometimes we urgent but not critical becoming number 2. Sometimes urgent and very important are always number 1. So because we have to juggle between multiple tasks daily, right?
Yeah.
So especially to projects, we have our role in our corporate position, but at the same time we are also handling projects. So project will always be the priority number 1 because we are dealing with time, man hours, and also at the end of the day to the overall project cost and schedule. That's how I would like to make to share so that we can you know train ourselves to make use of this 4 quadrant. We can make search of this prioritization technique, and I just put my sticky note in the 4 quadrant manners so that I understand which one I have to deliver first beyond others. Or make use of the Microsoft Outlook where you can flag all those email and group which one is critical, non-critical, urgent, non-urgent. That's how I manage sometimes 100, 200 emails per day.
No. Mr. Kanesh, you would like to share anything? Mr. Kanesh? Mr. Kanesh can't hear you. Okay.
Yeah. No, I think most of the points that already been addressed by Nashriq. So I think it's yes, it is important when it comes to the how you prioritize on the critical areas. Yeah, I will agree on it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ganesh. Actually, what we can conclude from here, even though that the documentation has been digitalized, the productivity comes in. So the high rate of productivity will lead to one engineer to manage his time. However, if gone those days, if you recall that we always write our task list, what to do first, what to do, a very long list. Like what I Nashriq mentioned, it's no more about that time. Okay, now is the time whether we have to look in the fourth quadrant. What is important, not engine, and so on. And you have to work within that method. So I think that fourth quadrant I am actually mentioned is actually just in time a revolution method of a revolution way of managing projects or managing any engineering activity where the high productivity is demand. Okay, due to the digitalization. So the next question is quite straightforward. How do you avoid mistakes on the job? It's very straightforward. Maybe I actually can begin with. How do you avoid?
Okay. How to avoid mistake? Okay. We are always forced by the word do correct things at the first time.
Oh.
So being an engineer, making mistake is a very is a no situation.
Mhm.
However, it will become a lesson learned to everyone because some of the engineering issue we have lack of information and we have lack of experience. So because there is always a new challenges going on every day. New things happen, even for 20, 25 years of engineers experience, but they are still dealing with the new, challenges. But how are we going to avoid mistake in this sense is that first, of course, we have to always stick to the requirement and what is the, the objective or the system, how they operate. I mean, paying attention to details, as what we mentioned before, are quite important. And as we stick to all to this guideline and all the requirement, the company policy, the safety aspect of the things, and how are we going to manage in terms of the financial constraint, the schedule, make sure everything is fact, not something that we think and we heard rumors about this thing and then we make conclusion. No, as an engineer, you should not tell what you don't know. This is very important because it is stated in our code of professional conduct.
Yes.
When we say we are not capable to do that, then we have to say we're not capable to do that. If not, it will jeopardize the whole aspect of the project. So student, especially to the engineering graduates, engineering student, make sure that you join IEM or BEM course on code of conduct. Understand why this is very important because most of the engineers out there fail their interview not because of technically they are not competent, but they are lack of understanding on the code of professional conduct.
Yes.
So if they stick to this element of code of professional conduct, not only BM, also out there, the UK Engineering Council are all stating the important element of behaving yourself professionally during work. So if you don't know, then you say you don't know. If you know, then make sure what you say is in accordance to certain standard or requirement. That's very important because I I have one experience where I dealt with one of the ship superintendent where they mentioned that they have this kind of recurrence issue, but at the same time in the report they said they heard office had some study to use this kind of loop oil standard. Said, and then when I asked that particular person, what kind of document are you saying that the management in office are doing a study and we conclude, we make a conclusion to use that kind of lubrication? So they said, oh, I don't know, I just heard from someone. This is totally not acceptable when we talk about engineering. Engineering, you have to deal with fact and if you don't know, you just don't put in your report. So yeah, that's how we avoid mistake, and and also we also to have we have to remind our colleagues where we work together as a team because when we make any decision, we think we are already in the right position, right? But we have to hand over our information to other discipline engineer. And then at one, sometimes we have to again check whether they are doing correctly or not. Because why? If they interpret our data wrongly, then again, we will not get into the conclusion or solve the issue. This is very important because there's a case like Highland Tower, right?
Yes.
It collapsed. So the defendant, one of the engineer involved with the project, saying that I already do my part, but the question is that, of course, you already do your part, but do you understand other discipline engineers role? That eventually that particular person are doing wrongly and interpreting your data wrongly, that eventually caused the Highland Tower to collapse. No, I don't check other people's job. This is another mentality that we have to set in our mind, that we have to take care not only our work but also our colleagues. Not in the sense of taking over their job, no, but just to make sure that things are done in the correct manner so that we are all covered. This is very important. Avoiding mistake is not only your role, but also not only your role to cover yourself in your own domain of work, but also other people's work.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
at the end of the day, you will also be investigated if anything happen. You
Yeah,
cannot say you
that's
don't
true.
do this.
Because we have to follow the code of conduct of the engineering ethics framework, right?
Yes.
Mr. Kanesh, would you like to add in? Probably from the perspective of a business decision, or we do tend to make a mistakes, usually in a business possible.
I think most of the points has been answered by IR and Nashriq. But what I would like to stress here is that every organizations, they have a complete standard of processes, documentations, guidelines that is been filed, structured in very well for every single project or task or whatever roles for each of the engineers, right? So sometimes the engineers may overlook or they do not read properly those guidelines instructions, because these are the most important documents to be referred as guidance for them to handle a certain task in their daily job activity. So if they have a pay attention on those processes and the guidelines, then definitely there will not be any mistakes. The second area is that please always create a checklist, right? Because it's very important, before you even have your first cup of a coffee, before going to the work or what, prepare a checklist, item 1 to item 10, and try to put your main points, and these are the things that I should do, and start to give yourself a silence and start to reflect and think for the day, did I actually missed out anything? What do I need to update to my bosses? Well, what do I update to the clients? Have actually deliver what I supposed to deliver for today? So all these checklists are very important so that you can avoid those mistakes. And always it's important to be clear to your role and pay attention to your role. As long as you are very clear in your roles and responsibilities, hardly there will be a mistake in the next time.
What can be concluded here, basically, every graduate or every engineer will definitely when there is mistakes and so on, it's very important for them to go back to the documentations, reporting, or any SOP. I would say that it's important for them to log in their activities, as you mentioned indirectly, that they have to write a checklist. But I think I actually think that the logbook for every engineers, whenever they write anything, is still relevant to nowadays industries. I mean, for their self-management in their work.
Logbook can be, logbook. It can be in any kind of form. It can be a logbook. It can be an Outlook email records.
Mhm.
As long as anything you do is recorded,
Mhm.
then you will keep that as your evidence to any decision you made.
Yes, even also to avoid mistakes because we can go back to what we have done previously and so on. Okay, the next question: what are the advice to fresh graduate and current students to excel in engineering field? Of course, engineering field is very dynamic. They keep changing in terms of technology. So, what's the advice can you give to our participants here and fresh graduate basically, Mr. Kanesh?
Okay. What I would like to stress here is that the most important is always stay focused. I think that is a very critical here where fresh graduates needs to always be focused in the field that they are pursuing. Right
Mhm.
today, based on my learnings, based on my mistakes, I'm just saying this one thing. Right, a student who is starting their course, for example, an engineering course, a specific course, right?
Mhm.
And then after 10 years for worked hard in those course and in their relevant field as engineer, for example, and then they wanted to move to a 360 degrees different professionalism. So you got to restart from scratch again because of your interest move totally outside of the field that you wanted to do. So
Yeah, that happens.
so that happens. So I tell you, many professionals or many who actually were very successful, their endeavors, they came to millionaires because they sticked into one area or field that they had the passion. So find that passion in the early days itself. That's very important because the passion, the interest that you're doing in that particular field, and you keep on doing year by year and decade by decade, you'll be a very successful person because of the amount of years of experience, knowledge in that particular focused field that you have. Though knowledge that you gather from a different field, that is fine, but stay put in the field that you think that you have so much of passion and stay focused on that passion. And I'm sure that you'll be a very successful person. And don't ever think to make a quick bucks. That's very important to most of the students, because most of the students thinks how I want to make a quick bucks. Never, it will never happen in a short number of days or years. It takes time, and there's a lot of competence that's needed. You need to develop your own competence, build up competence by learning a lot of skills, professional or non-professional skills. And that will actually help you to show yourself to the organizations that with your competence. Definitely organization will give you the right pay because they know that you're so much experience with your knowledge, the way that you talk, the how confident you are, because the amount of knowledge that you gathered, you polished yourself, or you join a number of professional organizations, networking with different groups, and the diversification of your interests with various international experts. With this combination of networking, learning, knowledge gathering, competence development, and all that, I'm sure you will be a very successful person.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kanesh. Nashriq, you were adding something.
Yes, patient and focus, right? Two things, two main attributes shared by the Ganesh. I think this is very important because why nowadays especially after now COVID-19 pandemic, many engineers are losing jobs, and then they start claiming that it's a waste of time learning engineering. It's a waste of time pursuing career as an engineer. Look, the moment we decide we want to pursue our engineering degree, are we regret? No, I don't think so, because that's the best choice that we have at the moment. At that moment, and let's not look at the past. Let's not blame the past, just moving forward and do not too much of thinking and afraid of what thing will happen in the future. Just focus on what we are now. Have a full focus on what we are going to achieve today for our future the next day. I always tell this to my colleagues which already demotivated due to this effect of the pandemic. So make sure you have always this in your mind, because you have to embrace challenges ahead. At the same time, focus on what you want to be, and also networking. Networking is very important. Not when you already graduate and you want to start work, you can start networking. No, even at this day, you can start networking by creating your social profile network in LinkedIn.
Oh, yes.
And start joining seminar or free seminar organized by IEM. If let's say mechanical engineering, you have IMECI, ICE, IEEC, all those professional institutions are offering a free talk or free seminar, and even they have like a newsletter. So this will make sure we are always at par on the latest technology. And another thing is that okay, give more and expect less.
Oh,
Give more and expect less.
contribute
Because
more.
we have very limited opportunity now. So whatever opportunity that you have, make sure it is still, if it's still within your focus, then okay, just grab whatever you have. But always have a big ambition and big dream, but expect less, so that we can always keep ourselves motivated and on track to pursue our dream.
Thank you so much, Ir Nashriq. Actually, we are kind of run out of time, and there are only several questions. I would like to stop here and just address the questions given by our participants here. Let me read the first question. Despite asking so many skills and knowledge from entry-level engineers, but the salary given by industry is not very attractive. What's your advice for the young engineers out there? Maybe unless they can start first.
This has
Actually,
been
this one,
yeah.
IEM also big. There is some engineers in the IEM tribune that they shared this issue. Maybe
Yes.
you can say more.
Okay, this has been quite a hot topic in one of the social network group in Facebook. I've been joined part of the group. So most of the members are expressing their frustration on the salary offered by the industry. Look, this is about supply and demand. Supply and demand. So it really much depending on the economic scale of the industry made. For example, like oil and gas, they can offer much higher salary compared to the manufacturing industry.
Yeah.
Another thing is that the one who should play the role of putting the shilling or the floor of the salary grade for the engineers is not us. It's by the government. So we are governed by Board of Engineers Malaysia and under Kementerian Kerja Raya Malaysia. So let's yeah. Yes. So let's not think on how they are putting this salary grade in place, but focus on what we can do. Because industry cannot offer much than what they can afford. That's the fact. It's a supply and demand. So we have to agree that the economic scale is very important. So make sure that if you want to make sure that you focus on what you want to go, whether it's in oil and gas, whether it's in manufacturing, whether it is in renewable energy. Focus and make sure you do some research on that. But there is always a pro and cons of all those industry. I have one friend think that our company is already is already the best company in oil and gas. But later when he got an offer from another company doubling the salary that they have now, that he had now, he left the company and joined the other company with the double salary. So see, a fresh graduate at oil and gas 3,000, going to another company as a fresh graduate 6,000.
Mhm.
What do you think? 6,000. You will go, right?
Yes.
Then, unfortunately, a month later, this guy are being laid off because of the supply and demand of the oil and gas. The oil price dropped significantly, and the oil and gas company, servicing company, cannot afford to pay all those engineers, especially to those without experience.
Mhm.
Even though at 6,000 ringgit, you already secure your best position, you got a permanent position in the company, then you left because of the double salary that you will gain from other company, which is on contract basis, then you have to be laid off after 1 month. This is happening. So
So,
make sure what you did now is you have to make ready your mindset that anything can be happen tomorrow. So make sure you plan carefully, make a risk assessment to whatever decision you will be making, so that we will not be frustrated at the end of the day.
Mhm.
And then another thing, I forgot to. Never mind. Never mind.
So, in
Uh,
conclusion,
yeah.
what I would like to share is that even though if an engineer is paid by the industry very high, there is a risk of his work. I mean, the sustainability of he remaining if there is an advent of a supply and demand weak. So there is an advent that his sustainability in working environment can be laid off, right?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
sometimes, unless if the person has a very important skills that required by the industries, then it could be. So overall, it's more on the demand and workforce. And of course,
Yes.
there is the government that set certain wage for different type of engineers, probably from different background. Like civil engineer have different, oil and gas has different wage, right?
Yes. Different. They have their different salary grade.
Mhm.
Oh.
Mr. Kanish, anything to add?
I think I want to support IR Nashriq, what he has said, right? I had a close friend of mine who has more than 20 years of experience in shipping engineering, and he was a chief engineer. And his earlier job paid him about 20,000 20,000 ringgit, and he got an offer for 40,000 double in another organization. He was very excited. We went there, and finally he left after 1 year because the amount of pressure and also the high task of role of responsibilities. So he couldn't able to manage or handle those pressure in the organization. So what I would like to say is nothing is free in this world. For every penny that is being given, you need to actually deliver. Period. That's the most important thing, right? So in whatever profession that you're delivering, I think when it comes to the competence, yes, sometimes it's also related to luck. Maybe you are not there in the right organization. Maybe you still need to learn certain skills in certain organization. So it's okay with a much more lower pay. It's okay because you are also polishing yourself to learn certain soft skills or engineering skills before you move on to the next organization. And I'm sure the next organization will offer you a better pay based on your experience and knowledge and your skills.
So in conclusion, Mr. Kanish, with large salary means the larger the salary, the greater the responsibility is. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I go to the second question. Okay. Based on your long track of experience, what do you perceive as the most worrisome concern of young engineers today venturing into workforce? Maybe Nashri can share this.
Okay. I think most of the young engineers are always being mocking with being an engineer is a 5 figures salary.
That's what in your mind.
kind of thing. So believe me that nothing is easy out there. Nothing is easy. Every sweat considered important for us. So what we paid is actually what we will embrace in our workforce. And I think the most important, the most worrisome concern is about the emotional quotient of the young fresh graduates, because they are being challenged or being forced after graduate to find the better placement, better salary, and then they are just starting their own family, just getting first child. So this is very important. So make sure your your mental health is strong enough. Make sure you try to read as much as positive or motivational talk or seminar. Do not let all those negative groups telling you that being an engineer is no more lucrative employment. It's no such thing actually. It's first, of course, it's lucky is just a matter of luck. And of course you have to be ready mentally to accept that there's no beauty in anywhere in the world. So unless you work hard and make sure your mental health is carefully keep in a good
Fitness.
and fit, so you will be okay to to work in the industry. So EQ is also another criteria before you become a manager. That's one critical aspect of becoming a manager later on. When EQ, emotional quotient, is one of the big factor of pursuing or climbing up ladder in the corporate.
Okay. Uh, okay. I'll go to the next question from our one of our participants mentioned. Okay, this one I put to you, Mr. Kanesh. How does an engineer fund investors for a startup? How does an engineer fund investors for a startup? And as an engineer, do we need to register as a startup as an before finding investors? Which means that how do we find investors for the startup? Do we?
That's a good question. In fact, I haven't found any investors. I've already found my startup for 1.5 year. I still haven't found my investors because the situation currently is much more tougher. Due to the COVID and all that. But what I would like to say is that you see, it's not like that straightforward, right? To find an investor, right? Because number two, for every penny the investor is putting in, they want to get the interest out of it, and it has to be a very oriented goal and everything. So as much as you can able to deliver by your own self with the minimum cost that you can afford, start to build that and see if you can make some revenue out of that in the initial process, and show some results first, so that the investors has the confidence, because there's a lot of programs that's organized by the government through the various ministries, through the Malaysian Digital Economy Corporation, through Malaysian Global Innovation like Magic as well. A lot of venture capital investment organizations are there. But of course, the first most important, you got to build your own business plan and show the revenues, the break evens, the 5-year project plans. What is your first year, second year, third year, fourth year revenues, the clean profits, what are the capex and the opex and all that, etc. But the most important, how Innovation is your idea that's most important, whether this will be a future way or a startup company. So it's not, it's to build a startup is not easy. Yeah. The rule of thumb to have a startup is very simple. The first 5 years you have to struggle, right? There's no such thing in the first year or second year you make a profit out of it. No way. No way. You have to struggle. It will slow grow like a bamboo tree. When you plant your bamboo seeds, you don't see, even you water it for the first few years, you don't see any plant. Then after the fifth year, you see the bamboo shoots up. So that's how the startups looks like, right? The huge companies, organizations like Elon Musk, SpaceX, Tesla. I mean, these are huge, high risk organization. In the first 10 years, they struggle first 10 years without any revenue profit. Yeah. So a lot of organizations, if you want to do a startup, never ever think about profit and everything. Start to build it, start to grow it, in any ways, you can do it individual or your family members or your friends and everything. And then start to promote it, whether national level or international level. Join with any kind of organizations, chamber of commerce. There's so many of chamber of commerce that is available, whether it's national chamber of commerce, international chamber of commerce. So councils as well, depends. So these are the few key important areas for you to build, but always do your hard homework, and every day is a learning process, and it's kind of redeveloping your own business plan, right? Because the first few months you initially plan to do A to E, for example, and along the line you're learning the more improvements that you need for your startup, and then you start to modify and polish and make sure that it works more better. So it's every day is a learning process, and there's no such thing of 5 days. Yeah, for a startup company there's no 5 days work. It's 7 days a week. Yeah, 7 days a week. I work like 18 hours. Yes, most of the time. And it kills you. It's not easy. It's a lot of energy is put in it, but it's a passion. If you really think that this thing is going to grow, it will grow one day.
Well, basically, students are usually are driven by the startups. Many of them will tend to have, after seeing all these Tesla and how they're successful on that. So, what happens is that they have the building the entrepreneurial spirit within them. So, only thing is that what they need to understand that it's not. It could be starting from zero. It started in a job. The entrepreneurial mind has to be there before they go to the startup, right? And I'm not sure about how do they want to get investors, but actually it's plenty of work that Mr. Kanish you have shared. Okay, so I would like to put one more last question from here. Why networking skills are necessary? Is it important to students or how they can start? This will be my final question for today. Why networking skills are necessary and important to students too? How they could start with it? Maybe Ir Nashriq will share first.
Okay, I think it also much related to how are we going to start finding the investor. I think
Yeah, Ir Nashriq.
networking is very important. Because some of the information are much faster from networking rather than the official announcement from the news, from the company's webpage. So networking is very important. So if let's say, because for example, I saw many LinkedIn members, for example, losing their job today, but because of the post, there are so many recruiters offering relevant job out there, because of the power of the networking, especially in the social media networking.
So basically, LinkedIn has bridged the gap of
Yes, I can agree more, because I see many graduate engineer are making use of this platform, especially. not only social media, but also the professional institution like IEM, the IMECI, IKMI, all the UK Engineering Council institution. Every engineering institution are very important. You make yourself available, visible in the network, then there will be someone who will be offering you the opportunity out there. That's kind of confident that I have now, because even for today's industrial talk, someone's tagging me, in Taruma's post. So it's kind of a platform for me to share something, but this is not something that I know and being offered from other people rather than my own network.
Yeah. Mr. Kanesh, I think you have demonstrated these networking skills because you, in your profile, you did mention you are in charge, ex-charge ideas global network. Would you like to share something about global networking?
I think the most important when it comes to networking is all about volunteering skills. The more that you give to the society, the more you will get it in a different way. And it's a magic. It's the power of universe. We'll say it's a law of attraction. It's so powerful. The more high that you spend your time to give whatever that you know to the society, you will your own competence, the chance of your better professionalism will take in place due to cost. Right. So this is what I have done for example. So some say, I can share you this little secret of mine, that 2 years back, President Barack Obama and Michelle Obama came to Singapore for a talk, and when I saw this particular session of talk, it was my dream to meet President Barack Obama. But I know it's so difficult to meet in person. But at least if I can hear his speech, that would be really good. And I couldn't able to go all the way to US to listen to his speech since he's down here and he's in Singapore. So what I did is that I found out the organization who is organizing it. I wrote to them and I wanted to be a volunteer, right? So it took me many times, they rejected me. They asked me many questions. They say why and this and that. But I was persistent and I managed to get to be a volunteer. So I went to volunteer to be there. So I volunteered. They asked me to to arrange the bottles, what for the participants. I did. I was not shy because I just wanted to hear his speech, and I wanted to see how he talks in the front of a crowd of 6,000 people in an arena, and it was mesmerizing, right? So and then from there I managed to meet so many of other volunteers from different universities, from different faculties, and different professionals, and we became friends. And now we are sharing ideas and knowledge, and they have been helping me out in some of my global education work that I'm doing via the Global 5G Evolution. So miracle happens in different ways. For example, this is why I'm saying volunteer is so important. You never know who you are meeting when you're volunteering in a certain group of people. So take this opportunity and always think that when you share this knowledge, never seclude yourself. I'm not. You can start in your college or university, but slowly grow from college, university to a national level. If you need to involve with the governments, if you have the opportunity, work with the government. Or you go to the national level, or you have an opportunity to work in an international level to the international bodies. Why not? Do it. Sign up with the international body and keep writing to them. Sometimes they won't answer you, but at one point of day, if you're persistent, they will reply to you. And if you have the opportunity to volunteer on an international level, then your name will be much more flowering, right? Because they know that who are you, so and so, from which country, from which city, and that will give a name for your country as well. So always look the globalization way of interconnecting, networking, and always believe in the volunteering will help you to build your networking skills.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ganesh. Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I think I need to add more. I think
Yes,
it's a matter of giving more and expecting less, right, Mr. Ganesh?
Absolutely.
And also, yeah, giving more and expect less.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, we are almost close to our end of time. Thank you so much, Mr. Kanesh and Ir Nashriq, on your valuable advice, wisdoms, tips, and key issues pertaining to the industrial expectations. And I think both of you has really spent, I think, for more than 1 hour. We have been discussing a lot of these issues, which are very important for our future graduates to take note on what is and benefit from this talks.